and welcome to your March edition of Essential Cardano360, your monthly roundup of just some of the latest news and developments from across the Cardano ecosystem, brought to you from the team at Input Output. Now, this month we officially welcome spring here in the Northern Hemisphere, and while some of us are running for that second box of Kleenex as the allergies take over, there's been a blooming of activity within the Cardano community. Following the approval of the Constitution on chain, the talk is now of budgets and how, as a community, we can best utilise the Treasury to power ongoing growth for the ecosystem. It's an important conversation, of course, a heated one at times, given the passion and commitment the whole community has to getting it right. We still have challenges ahead and more bumps along the way, but the progress has genuinely been remarkable. So kudos to everybody who's been grinding to make community-led governance real. We're doing something very special here, so thank you to everyone who's joining the conversation and picking up the shovels. The hard work we're doing now is truly setting us up for future success as a community, so be sure to follow along and find out how you can contribute. Every voice matters in the process. Of course, this show has always been designed with you, the community, in mind, so if you're watching on YouTube or on X, drop your thoughts below. What do you see as the priorities for the community? What excites you most about the proposed technical roadmap? What are the biggest challenges and opportunities? And do tell us what type of content you want to see, or share any names of Cardano content creators you think are producing great content that you want to see featured in the show. Or just say hello. We like it, and so does the YouTube algorithm, so it gets more people seeing this. And if you've been enjoying the show, please give us a subscribe, hit that bell icon and the thumbs up. So continuing that theme of community governance, let's kick off this month with member-based organisation Intersect. Valeria Devaux and Tex McCutcheon join us to give us an update on the Intersect committee elections, which kicked off on Monday the 24th.
Hi everyone, my name is Valeria and I'm currently leading the Intersect committee elections. And I have some exciting news. The April 2025 Intersect committee elections are already here. So this is a key moment in Cardano's decentralized governance. Whether you are interested in running for a committee seat or voting, now is the time to get involved. So let me share and go over some key dates and details about the election process. We have already started sharing information, including a blog post with key details and an application pack that provide a summary of the 8 different committees, what they do, their responsibilities, and also why you might want to join. The application period opens on March 24th at 12 p.m. UTC, and it will be open until April 4th. During these 2 weeks, Intersect members can apply for a seat on a committee. If you are not yet a paid member, or if you are an associate member, you have until April 4th to upgrade your membership in order to apply or vote in the elections. Then on April 9 at 12 p.m. UTC, the voting period opens and members will have until April 23 to cast their votes. Finally, we will have a few days to collect and verify the results, and on April 30 at 12 p.m. UTC, the election results will be published. So then, how to participate in the elections? So to become a candidate, here's how you can apply. First of all, you should log in into the Intersect members area, and then you can navigate to the voting section, and then select the committee you wish to apply for, and finally submit your application before April 4th. To ensure accessibility and inclusivity, we have translated the application form into 5 different languages: Spanish, French, Portuguese, Sinhala, and Japanese. This effort is designed to encourage greater participation and make the process more accessible to non-English speakers. So please check out the knowledge base to find the application form translated. And then for the voting period, each member, whether an individual or an enterprise, gets 1 vote. So if you are not a member yet, as I mentioned before, remember you have until April 4th to join Intersect and be eligible to vote. Here is how you can cast your vote. Please log in into the Intersect member area, navigate to the voting section, and then select the committee you want to vote for. Please review the candidates and submit your vote before April 23. A third-party audit will also verify the votes, and Intersect will announce the results once the process is complete. So that's it. Thank you. And I hand over to Tex to share more details.
Thanks, Valeria. And hey, everybody, once again, my name is Tex. I'm the open source program manager here at Intersect. I'm also serving as the committee liaison with April 25 elections. Just to catch everybody up on what's happening with our committee X spaces that we are having regarding the elections. So today, if you missed it at 9 a.m., we did have a session that was focusing on both the product committee and the technical steering committee. We will meet once again on Saturday at noon UTC, and this will be a general all call. Next week, as we go into April here, we are going to focus on the civics and the technical steering committee once again. We'll also take a look at open source committee and the growth and marketing committee. That'll be on Thursday, April the 3rd. We'll have an all call on April the 4th, and our last X space before voting begins on April the 8th. So voting again starts on April the 9th, and post that date, we will have additional AMA sessions while the voting is ongoing. So please don't hesitate to pop in. Let us know if you're having any issues, any questions, and we can absolutely guide you through the process. I guess I'll give a little nod to the all call once again on April the 4th. That is actually going to be the close date for having membership, and it's also the close date for applications. So please do make sure that you are a paid member of Intersect to both vote and apply to be on a committee. And if you wish to be on a committee, make sure that you've applied by April the 4th. Well, that's what we've got going on for socials. Come and find out about the committees, and we'll catch you guys next time.
And if you want to run for election to an Intersect committee and play your part in helping shape the future of Cardano, you'll find all the links you need below. With nearly 2,100 projects funded from all four corners of the world, over 1,000 completed projects so far, and some 270 million ADA awarded to help fuel ecosystem growth, Project Catalyst continues to champion the innovative ideas from you, the community. Next up, Kriss Baird joins us to discuss the projects that participated in Fund 13's Cardano Partners Growth and Acceleration category, an ambitious new incubation approach, along with Janis Aguilar from CVVC and Joannou from Draper University, helping build up entrepreneurial expertise in the ecosystem.
Hi everybody, it's Kriss here from Catalyst, here to give you this month's update. Well, what is Catalyst first? Well, Catalyst is a one-of-a-kind innovation funding platform that's turbocharged the Cardano ecosystem. It allows anyone to submit proposals requesting funding in response to specific calls like development of use cases or open source tooling or grassroots community building. You guys submit proposals, the community reviews those proposals, and then ultimately the ADA holding Cardano community votes to decide which ones of those proposals receive funding from the Cardano treasury. To date, over the last 4 years, we've funded 2,091 projects from all four corners of the earth. More than 1,000 of those projects have completed, and we've allocated over 270 million ADA to date. Well, we've got some exciting updates this month. We see the first projects kicking off for the Cardano Partners Growth and Acceleration category that was funded in Fund 13. 4 projects were selected by your community vote, and these projects are all centered around venture acceleration. So these are 4 very, very unique accelerator programs and projects, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what accelerators and venture building programs mean for Cardano. Accelerator programs are a really vital component of the startup ecosystem that's building around Cardano. In fact, any startup ecosystem really. You guys that have great ideas need to turn these ideas into scalable ventures, businesses, and products and services. More often than not, you're going to need a little bit of help from investors or friends and family, angels, or more like venture capitalists and private equity investors as your project gains more maturity and is a much bigger business. Venture accelerators are there to pick up startups that are at often an early part of their journey and provide them with mentoring and entrepreneurship training that helps them to go to the next level and provide them access to deep expertise and mentors for all different parts of the venture development life cycle. So it could be access to high net worth investors just to give money, or it could be access to mentors that can provide you access to the sorts of customers and market segment that you're trying to penetrate. Or it could be more like entrepreneurship and leadership development skills, or any of these types of ideas that help to grow a founding team from a good early stage team into a great, successful and thriving business. So we've got, as I said, a number of these great projects and acceleration programs that are kicking off in Cardano. Some are really focused on the business angle, some are really focused on the social impact angle, and some venture accelerators are somewhere in between or nothing like any of those examples. They all have their own unique flavors to them. And now we're going to hear from a couple of those venture acceleration programs and what they're going to be bringing to Cardano.
Hello Cardano community, this is Janis from CVVC. CVVC is a Swiss-based venture capital firm investing in crypto startups since 2018. Apart from our direct investments, we also have one of the longest ongoing crypto accelerators in Europe, which actually runs now since 2019. Next to our investment side, we also have CV Labs, which is our ecosystem brand. With CV Labs, we house hundreds of crypto companies in our co-working space across the globe and organize events and research reports. Now, we and the Cardano community go way back. So we actually host the Cardano Foundation in our main co-working space here in Switzerland since 2019. Throughout the years, we've been engaged in different activities such as events, research reports, but also builder activations. Now, in 2023, we took a bit more of an active role in the Cardano ecosystem. At this year, we decided to partner with the Cardano Foundation and host the first ever Battle of the Builders at the Cardano Summit in Dubai. So this was the first of its kind official Cardano pitching competition organized from CF. For us, this was a great exercise to get insights into the Cardano developer community and startup landscape. We were very impressed with the high quality of founders and technical talent that we found there. That said, we repeated this exercise in 2024 and once more hosted the Battle of the Builder together with the Cardano Foundation in Dubai. Now, having screened in these two exercises over 100 Cardano projects, we found a common theme, that the Cardano projects have great talent, great ideas, great visions, but they're not yet businessly oriented in a way to attract VC funding and achieve product market fit. That said, we explored the opportunity to take our experience from running since 6 years already a Web3 accelerator and bring it to the ecosystem. Now, having learned of Project Catalyst, which is a great tool to support such initiatives, we submitted our proposal, and thankfully, specifically to you, Cardano community, to make this happen, we got our proposal approved. So this is now the starting point of the CV Labs Cardano Accelerator. We're now in the first stage of the process and already defined the curriculum and the program. Now applications are open, and it goes to you builders. So if you're interested in building your project, achieving product market fit, trying to raise VC funding, but also just come to Switzerland and work with us on your venture, make sure to sign up. The program itself, as mentioned, is hybrid. So we leverage our Swiss ecosystem, meaning we have an in-person component here in Switzerland, but of course also considering the flexibility for everybody, making the rest of it remote. In these 10 weeks, we focus on two topics. In the first part, we focus on the tech development and the legal setup, whereas in the second part, we focus on the go-to-market strategy and the marketing and branding part of your project. Throughout this entire 10 weeks, you will have access to world-class mentors, you will have first-hand portfolio management from our VC, but you will also have the opportunity to get connected to VCs outside of the Cardano space and inside of the Cardano space. We will wrap it up with a demo day, which is scheduled for end of July, where you will have the big stage. Now, we try to solve this problem of professionalizing the startup culture in the Cardano ecosystem, and we hope we can contribute a part to it. We believe that through this first group of builders that will join our program, we can make a difference in the Cardano landscape and attract new talent, but also foster existing talent. So if this sounds something that you're interested in, make sure to go to cvlabs.com/accelerator and check out the program, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Hey everyone, Joannou from Draper University. First, a little bit about myself. I head up ecosystem growth, and that entails everything from our global deals, from enterprise and government to blockchain protocols, and to the physical growth of our physical expansion. As Draper U, for the first time ever, set its sights on setting up some campuses around the world. So very exciting times for Draper U. A little bit about Draper University. So we are a pre-accelerator founder residency and pre-seed venture fund based in Silicon Valley founded by Tim Draper, legendary venture capitalist, whose family essentially started venture capital. His grandfather started the first Silicon Valley fund, created the general partner, limited partner model that all the VCs use today. You have Tim's impressive track record in Web 2 with seed stage investments in Skype, Tesla, SpaceX, Twitch, Hotmail, many other kind of household names at their infancy, and then an equally impressive investment portfolio in Web 3 from Ledger, Coinbase, VeChain, Gemini, and countless others, moving forward to Unstoppable Domains and Maestro, in Cardano ecosystem, let's say more recently, but always big backers of the space. Didn't matter what the market looked like, Tim Draper's out there with his Bitcoin tie, championing in the industry. So this is not something we tacked on. We're big believers in the decentralization of everything, I would say. At Draper University, we're bringing the best founders from around the world to Silicon Valley. They stay with us. We get them pitch ready, investor ready, and put them in front of our VC network. The problem we're trying to solve for the Cardano ecosystem is we know that you have this depth of technical talent, and but perhaps lack of entrepreneurial talent. So that is where we shine, and we're really good at helping technical founders and research-driven founders become more entrepreneurial, be a little bit more market conscious, make sure they're solving problems for the real world that have appeal to Web3 and to Web 2 as well. And so we help get founders pitch ready, investor ready, and introduce them to our VC network, and hopefully we get a few of them a bunch of cash. What we're hoping to achieve, or what we're hoping to facilitate in the Cardano ecosystem, is first injecting this entrepreneurial talent, two, attracting by backing the right startups, that are thinking about, if you look at the themes we're looking at, we're bullish on mass adoption or mainstream adoption. In order to do that, some of the categories we picked around the future of entertainment, Bitcoin DeFi, decentralized science. These are areas we think that could bring millions of users to Cardano. And in doing that, you bring not only the users, but attract more investors and more builders, and that helps attract the next generation of entrepreneurs and builders on Cardano. So why Cardano? First and foremost, the community. Strong, resilient community. It was, in fact, alumni of ours that are supporting us on this project, that are building on Cardano, that presented this opportunity, that introduced us to Catalyst. Shout out to Catalyst. Went through that process. And so, we're bullish on the community. We're bullish on the technical depth, the technical talent that's in the community, our ability to add value and help them, become more entrepreneurial and shine in the entrepreneurial space and become more attracted to venture capitalists. And lastly is the tech, so from everything from Cardano native applications are exciting to us, and the kind of the bridge to Bitcoin DeFi, as illustrated in our investment in Maestro, which could unlock billions of dollars there. So community, our ability to add value, and the tech, Bitcoin DeFi in particular. In terms of next steps for this project, we've been very fortunate that the Cardano community is super supportive of our since launch. They've been getting around our tweets. Charles has retweeted. Tim's got involved. So we have hundreds of applications. So we're very fortunate, very grateful to be in that position. So the next step for us is really going through all of that, trying to narrow it down to the top founders that we want to back through this program and get to work on delivering as promised for Cardano. Lastly, if you're a founder, entrepreneur in the Cardano ecosystem, we want you to apply to this program. Please do that as quick as possible. Like I said, we've had a great response to the program in the market. That's at draperuniversity.com/Cardano. And if not, just get around the founders that put themselves out there and building these projects and, retweet and share what they're up to, and we'll be providing that journey along the way. You can follow us on all our socials as well. Cheers.
Wow, wasn't that exciting? I can't wait to hear more from those accelerator programs. Next up, you'll have the opportunity to submit your business or project through these acceleration programs once they open up their application processes. And for the Catalyst team, now's actually a time for us to reflect on much of what's been achieved in the last 4 years, and specifically in the last 12 months since you guys in the community gave us your mandate to provide these fund operation services to you. So please review and hopefully support the Catalyst team's proposal to continue Catalyst operations in through 2025, and continue building on the great momentum that we have achieved as a community and a collective decision-making crowd for the Cardano ecosystem. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
So thank you to Kriss, Janis and Kriss for joining us for that special update. Now, getting on board with leading VCs is an exciting new phase for the Catalyst journey, and if you're a builder looking for support, be sure to apply. All the links are below. Lace, IO's wallet platform, has become one of the fastest and easiest ways to explore Web3, bringing together a wealth of Web3 features like managing digital assets to accessing NFTs, dApps and DeFi services. Lace is more than just a wallet. As a tool to securely send and receive digital assets, stake your ADA, and participate in governance and the Cardano network, Lace does everything a wallet does and more. Now, it's been a while since we had the team on for an update, so General Manager Brandon Wolf dropped by to share the latest on what to expect.
All right, hey everyone, this is Brandon Wolf. I'm the general manager at Lace at IO. For those of you who are not familiar with Lace, Lace is the next generation Web3 wallet, and we're built on simplicity, security, and multi-chain compatibility. Our vision is to create a trusted platform for managing assets, data, and payments across Web3 and beyond. We're focused on our growth, we're focused on usability, and we want to make it easy for new and experienced users alike. Some of the operational efficiencies you may have seen that have been improved in Lace over the last year has been a number of releases that have come out in a much faster and a much more friendly way. We are always going to have a first principle of zero compromise on security. Security is of our utmost importance, and we are always going to be making sure that everything that we deliver secures the funds and creates a privacy barrier for all of our users. We're also developing more agile methodologies within our development stream. We're doing faster iterations without compromising on quality. Our improved user experience is actively incorporating our real-world feedback into our updates, and we want to be one of the most transparent wallets that are out there. Our Lace roadmap will be released. This is a 12-month roadmap indicating all of the features that are coming within the Lace product over the next 12 months. We'll be releasing that to the public. And we will also have our AMAs scheduled so that our users can interact with us on the Lace team and ask questions and get the information and feedback from us. And we'll have a lot higher social media engagement. In addition to our social media transparency and engagement, we're also going to be one of the only wallets that are open source. So that should give you a bit of peace of mind. Some of the things that are coming up. We are going mobile. This is the number one request we get. It is the most requested feature of all of our users and even most people in IO and the Lace team itself. So we hear you. We want to make sure that Lace Mobile is one of the highest quality deliverables that we've put out to date. We're putting a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. We want to make it a huge success for us. And the way we will roll this out will be, we will first start with the Canary group, which will be some internal testing and select users. We'll then open it up to a beta testing channel for users who want to participate in the initial design and functionality of the Lace wallet. And this is going to help us shape the larger release mobile product, which we are targeting for roughly end of June, early July. When we say mobile, what we really mean is platform agnostic. Mobile will be the first steps because it is the most requested platform to have a Lace wallet on. The next generation will lead to desktop applications as well as embedded wallet capabilities further down the pipeline. As part of the mobile launch, we'll be looking at a UI and UX refresh. We will have a number of teasers that are being offered out there for user feedback and just to generate some excitement to show that we're really proud of the work that we're doing at Lace and the design that's being done. We're going to get a fresh and modern UI UX. This improves the usability and the aesthetics of the product, and we're exploring a rebranding effort as we move toward mobile and a broader reach. The UI will also be more intuitive. It'll be faster. It'll be user-friendly. We want to cater to everyone, every user, whether you're a novice or you're a power user. Currently, our demo is not available, but as we build, and we will unveil more and more because we definitely want to have your feedback and your insight into the work that we're doing. In a broader strategy standpoint, we want to become more than just a wallet to store, send, receive assets. We want to become more like a DeFi command center. We want cross-chain capabilities, multi-chain asset support, seamless interoperability with bridging of DeFi and NFTs. So again, with the Lace Public Roadmap, you'll see this coming very soon. We'll be demonstrating our transparency as an open source wallet with user-driven priorities and iterative and fast-paced development. So what's coming next for Lace? Well, in the next few months, we will be participating in a number of events, the first of which is being held right now in Argentina. This is the Merge event on the 26th and 27th of March in Buenos Aires. Our mobile rollout will begin roughly in the next few months, initial beta testing followed by phased rollouts. We'll be working on a number of super exciting features that we want to bring to you. That's coordinated multi-sig, shared wallets that extend beyond Lace, enhanced staking and delegation features for more flexibility and insights for stakers. We'll have broader ecosystem integrations, more dApps, more assets, more chains, and improved interoperability. For the first of those will be Bitcoin and Midnight support. So as Midnight gets ready for their release, we will be one of the first wallets to incorporate Midnight into our wallet offering, and Bitcoin DeFi will also be a fast follow. We'll also have fraud and scam detection and prevention. This strengthens our security posture and improves our user protection. We want better pricing indexes. We want more accurate market data for better decision making as you move through the Web3 ecosystem. We'll be exploring swaps, prioritizing lowest possible fees for seamless asset exchanges. We'll also be adding various different integrations, YubiKey support to avoid having to re-enter your password multiple times, Keystone integration for additional hardware wallet storage. And then we'll get into decentralized account recovery. The Lace team is part of the Decentralized Recovery or DREC Alliance, which is a multi-chain conglomeration committee working to facilitate the ability for you to recover your keys in a decentralized way. We'll also be exploring such concepts as self-sovereign identity or DID. This will support decentralized identity solutions and brings your data back into your hands. We'll also be doing embedded governance voting center. Right now, we link to the GovTools dApp for governance voting. We will have that built into the Lace product, as well as capabilities for voting within Catalyst grants. And then even further beyond that, we'll be looking at tap-to-pay capabilities, bringing a real-world crypto payments to fiat capabilities within commerce situations. To get in touch with us, I highly recommend you visit our website. It is lace.io. From there, you'll be able to connect with us on Discord. We have a very active and lively and vibrant Discord channel and community, as well as our X handle, which is lace_IO. Thanks, everyone. We're really excited for Lace. Hope you'll join us on the journey.
From more agile methodologies to the much anticipated mobile release, Bitcoin integration and more, there's a bunch of exciting new features in the pipeline coming up for Lace. So thanks to Brandon for that update. Now, many of you know him and love his ongoing community updates. He took a brief break recently, but he's back. It's Josh from Late Game Crypto, stopping by as our guest creator this month to share his take on some of the developments happening across Cardano.
We interrupt this regularly scheduled Cardano360 to bring you this guy with the camera that nobody asked to see. But quick thank you to IO for bringing me the invitation to share with you some information about what's happening in the Cardano ecosystem today. I expect that I speak for everybody in this community when I say that there has never been a more exciting time to be involved in the Cardano ecosystem than right now. Between all of the massive global recognition that we're getting in the world today and all of the developments that are starting to materialize within the ecosystem, I sincerely hope that you share my enthusiasm about what is happening in this ecosystem right now. Since you're all pretty well aware of a lot of the things that have developed in the public with Cardano recently, I want to focus on some of the developments that I've been seeing happening on Cardano over the past few months. The first thing that I want to talk about is the Midnight State of the Network report that was released back in February of 2025 that displays some pretty impressive developments that have occurred with Midnight's privacy layer that will be leveraging Cardano as its launch partner. The Midnight testnet has reportedly produced 1 million blocks as of mid-February of 2025 with a whole host of promising developer partners that are helping to move this ecosystem forward. I know a lot of community members out there are eager to know what the development roadmap timeline is for the Midnight Network because as things start to get closer, we're probably looking at helping facilitate the largest airdrop in the history of this industry. The second development that I want to talk about is one that has a little bit more imminence, as the launch of the USDA stablecoin by Anzins and backed by Emergo launched just this month. I think everybody can agree with me when I say that this is a much needed development in the Cardano ecosystem because the production of reliable stablecoins is something that produces a diversity of trading options that we desperately need in DeFi and that people are looking for. USDA is available in 14 eligible US states and it's already trading on MinSwap. And I do expect that over the course of this next month, we'll probably see it start to show up on a variety of DEXs all throughout 2025. And just to add to the enthusiasm, we have more news in stablecoins as USDM by the Moneta team opens up their retail minting beta testing program, where individuals can mint USDM if they live in one of the 18 eligible US states. This has been a highly anticipated move by the Moneta team because USDM was the first fiat-backed stablecoin that was brought to the Cardano ecosystem, and they've delivered a level of transparency that the rest of the industry has been desperate for. But up until this point, only businesses have been able to mint USDM. So we're really excited to see it open up to retail users. It is for these reasons and many more that I'm proud to call Moneta and W3I Software partners of my channel over at Late Game Crypto. So if you want to hear more about them or learn about other news and analysis that I do all around the Cardano ecosystem every single week, be sure to check out my channel and subscribe. I believe I should have a link down in the description below. Another one of my channel partners actually had a major development that occurred in this past month as Project Noom extends their music app to iOS users and opening up their user base to the 1.4 billion users worldwide that use iOS devices. This really does speak to massive strides in the expanding functional use cases of the Cardano ecosystem, because even though Android devices do represent a larger majority of global mobile device users, iPhones represent 59% of the users in the US. So this is a large expansion of very relevant market audiences that we want to see entering the Cardano ecosystem. Project Noom really does transform the lives of artists by empowering them to own and control their own music. And that's one of the many reasons that I'm proud to see these kinds of developments come up in the Cardano ecosystem. But wait a minute, this isn't the only way that Cardano infrastructure is being leveraged to support the lives of creators, because other projects like Stuff.io have also made major developments to expand the use cases of their services. On February 25th, Stuff.io announced the launch of their creator portal so that individuals can go and submit original works in the form of ebooks, audiobooks, and music. This right here opens up the floodgates for original works of art to be submitted to enter the Stuff ecosystem, because previously you would have to coordinate directly with the Stuff team in order to have your works published on the platform. If you've followed these guys for any amount of time, it's probably not really all that surprising to you to learn that the demand of their services has scaled way beyond what they could directly pay attention to. So this self-service portal is a huge development that we're excited to see in the Cardano ecosystem. The last development that I want to cover is the folks at Palm Economy just published their 2025 roadmap for deliverables of what they expect to see happen over the next year. And they've got some pretty powerful line items to pay attention to. One of the more anticipated events is coming very shortly with the Palm Token Generation event, which will distribute tokens to participants of the Palm ISPO and people that participated in the initial token sale offering that was facilitated through T-1. This will be the first step in creating a healthy, interactable, circular global commodities economy that specifically targets unserved areas of the world. 2025 is a very exciting year for Palm Economy and so many others all around the Cardano ecosystem. So I hope you enjoyed today's segment, and I do want to thank IO again for inviting me to share with you today.
So thanks to Josh for sharing what's caught his eye this month. Now, if you want to see one of your favourite content creators on the show in future months, make sure you share their channel with us in the chat or reach out to us on social media so we can get them on the show. And speaking of content creators, we couldn't do a show without bringing on Lily Brody, founder of Cattle Daddy Media, the creative mind behind the Cardano Girls. With their content going viral, the Cardano Girls sparked a much needed conversation, not just about Cardano, but also around how we champion women in this space. With Women's History Month coming to a close, we thought it was a timely opportunity to hear more from her. Julia Nagy, partnership manager in the IO product team, caught up with her.
Hello, my name is Julia Nagy. I work for IOG's product organization, and I'm seeking partnerships and potential synergies with external companies. And I'm joined by Lily Brody, founder of Kettle Daddy Media. Cardano is lucky to have you. Thanks for joining. And can you please tell us about your journey into Cardano, why you chose Cardano?
Hi, Julia. It's great to be here. Yeah, so I'm Lily Brody. I'm the co-founder of Cardano Media, and I'm spearheading the Cardano Girls. I joined the Cardano community 3 years ago as a digital artist. I started off selling NFTs, and the community just drew me in. And now I'm a content creator, and I run a media company, and we focus on creating fun, light-hearted educational content around Cardano.
And this is Kettle Daddy Media, isn't it?
Yeah, so I run the Cardano Study Media with Lena and Izzy from Clay Nation. Yeah, we basically started off from one video called the Cardano Girls. So last year, I created a video called We're Cardano Girls for fun. I saw a video that was circling on X called We're Crypto Girls, and I messaged my group of friends in the Cardano community, and I was like, should we do a Cardano Girl version, like, for fun? And they were just like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay, cool. Send me your videos within 24 hours, and then we'll get this video out. So they did. The video went crazy. We got 2.1 million views, and we were trending on X, and it even got more views than Charles's iconic whiteboard video. And it just gave us this aha moment where we realized that Cardano really needs this kind of content. And we applied for Project Catalyst for funding to launch a media company called Cardano Media to create this fun educational content to appeal to the average Joe. And since we launched last year in July, we've attended 5 crypto events across 4 continents. Myself, Lena, and Izzy from Clay Nation, and we've created over 100 videos around the ecosystem in the form of interviews, skits, reels, basically just showcasing Cardano, how decentralized it is, and the builders in our ecosystem.
That's amazing. I've seen your work. It was amazing. And looking forward to the next things. What's next?
So we are still going through all the content from Consensus. We're drowning in edits, but basically we are working on a really special campaign, a special Cardano campaign, and a Cardano Girl movement, which will connect to that. And we're also working towards establishing a creator hub. So other blockchains like Solana and Base, they have creator hubs, and they have many different creators talking about Cardano in their own way. But again, it's this kind of short, fun, educational style. So we're working on basically establishing this creator hub for Cardano to attract more creators from other ecosystems coming in, and then also to encourage more of our Cardano girls to create their own videos and to talk about Cardano and why they're here.
And you did choose Cardano, but tell us a little bit more about what you like about Cardano's vision, about the community.
The main reason why I'm in Cardano is because of how decentralized it is, and it's what brought me into the community, and it's the fact that I can just be myself as a creator and be a part of something much bigger. I don't have to be a certain someone, I don't have to be a certain gender or be from a certain background to be involved in Cardano governance or to talk about Cardano or to be involved in these events and to have that place in the community. And that's what's really important to me. And I think that's actually the reason why we started Cardano Girl movements and why Cardano Media exists, because I noticed that this content was missing, that kind of like average Joe content. It kind of felt like Cardano kind of had this, like in the past, Cardano had this reputation for being this like technical, like crypto bro chain, and it's not. You know, it's obviously very decentralized. Cardano is for everyone, and yeah, the reason why I started Cardano Media was to have this average Joe fun content out there to attract the average Joe in and to talk about the fact that Cardano is for everybody, and to get more women in front of a camera chatting about Cardano and just anyone really. So I'd say decentralization is the reason why I am in Cardano, and I really appreciate where Cardano is going in regards to being more cross-chain, to the fact that Charles is really focusing on Cardano becoming the DeFi layer for Bitcoin, working with XRP and Algorand, and opening the community up to really be a part of. I guess that's wrong to say, but like opening the community up to emphasize the fact that we are decentralized and it's for everybody, and we're heading in that direction.
Amazing. I agree with everything you said, actually. Where can our audience follow you, find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on Lily Brody, so at Lily Brody on X, and you can follow Catadaddy Media. It's Catadaddy on X, on TikTok, and on YouTube. That's where you can find all of our content. And if you are a creator and you want to be involved in Cardano Girls, feel free to reach out to me personally on X. We do have a X group, a group chat. There's over 90 women in the Cardano community in that chat. Or if you're interested in working with us or getting support, you can reach out to Catadaddy Media directly or myself.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Julia, for having me. It's just so much fun.
So thanks to Julia and Lily for joining us. And a shout out to Cadel Daddy co-founders Issy and Lena from Clay Nation. Now, Lily continues to be a champion not only for Cardano, but for setting the tone of inclusivity and fun across the community. And you can catch the latest from her on X, TikTok, and YouTube. And on the theme of community, what would a 360 episode be without our very own Matthew Capps sitting down with just some of the projects building on Cardano? This month, Matthew met up with Stephen Ward from Vi Finance and Christian Koch from Orcfax.
So, Stephen, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. Could you give us an introduction to yourself and also to ViFi for anybody who hasn't been paying attention?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Matthew. As you said, my name's Stephen. I'm the Director and CEO of Vi Finance. We're a DeFi platform that's been on Cardano now for about 4 years, and we've been building out products on this blockchain for that entire period of time. For myself, my background is in traditional finance. I come from the hedge fund world, where I was working as a trader in bonds futures. And we're really trying to bring these ideas of risk management from the world of futures into the Cardano space to make it available to liquidity pool traders by implementing with our V3 DEX what is honestly the most advanced liquidity management platform that Cardano's ever seen.
What is, if you look at the sort of overall structure and the best features of ViFi now, what is it as a product and what is it doing for its users?
So right now we are a DEX and a distributive mechanism, as well as, of course, a staking platform. And in a week or so's time, we're also going to be a provider of OTC trades and OTC swaps. So you can do private swaps between individuals for whatever rate the two private individuals want to trade assets for. We're also a distribution platform. Lots of projects use our platform to run distributions, and we're about to automate that system with our safe swaps as well, so that projects will be able to automatically set up large-scale distributions to their users and not have to pay for the extent of how much airdrops cost on Cardano due to concurrency. So I would say at the moment, we have a fairly wide-ranging tool base on the Cardano network. We're not just a DEX, we're not just a staking platform, we're not just a distribution platform, we're not just a lottery, we're not just a distributive mechanism, we're not just vaults. We've got all of it, right? And with our V3, we're going to be getting a lot more. We've been able to build out our V3 DEX and implement SIP85, and we now have access to data types. And as far as I'm aware, we're the only DEX on, or not just the only DEX, the only product on the Cardano blockchain that currently has access to data types as a function.
What did data types enable in terms of a product feature that is important for ViFi users?
I think the best way to describe that is to actually give you the example of what we're doing with it, right? What data types allows us to do is to set up these different LP types that our smart contract can differentiate between and execute based on the type of pool that has been input by the user at the time of creation. So we could essentially have 3, 4, 5 different pool types all within the one validator, which means that inside this validator, we just need to add the code for what that pricing function looks like. And then when the smart contract executes, the validator goes, we're executing based on this code set. So now this code set is going to be a balancer pool. Okay, we execute based on a balancer pool, and then that executes, right? Or this smart contract is a stable pool. This smart contract is any type of pool that you want, right? And instead of having to build multiple DEXs for each pool type, we can essentially just stack them into our one validator. That's an example of an advantage it provides.
So today you guys have a large, trail of innovations and new features and products that you guys have brought out. But in particular, I know you're excited about the liquidity manager and SafeSwap. So could you tell us about the liquidity manager?
The liquidity manager is going to be the most advanced risk management system that Cardano's ever seen. And rather than go into a complex description of the liquidity manager, because it can very easily get filled up in jargon, I think the best way to describe it is to actually just go through an example of what it is that it can do. And we're going to be introducing 5 new liquidity pool types. And one of these is called an inside layer 3 or an inside LP. And this has got a really unique structure where the value actually moves with respect to the ratio between the 2 Cardano native tokens rather than the ratio of the Cardano native tokens and Cardano. So what this means is that if you had a Wi-Fi WMTX inside L3, you would be gaining or losing Cardano based on the price difference between Wi-Fi and WMTX. Or vice versa, if you had a WMTX Wi-Fi, so in the other direction, you would be gaining or losing Cardano based on the ratio between WMTX and Wi-Fi, i.e. how they move against each other. Which means now you can start setting up alpha neutral-ish. I'm not going to say purely alpha neutral because impermanence risk isn't a symmetric function, but you can start to build alpha neutral-ish positions where you can balance risk between multiple pools, giving you a lower net alpha for the first time on Cardano through risk management.
Yeah, that's excellent. And you were just telling me before about sort of the user experience of this, that you have like visualizations where people can see how their tokens will interact in these ways. Could you tell us about that?
These systems can be, I'm not going to say they're too complex because they're not actually that complex. It's no more complex than a futures market, right? But to conceptualize when you're first introduced to them can be a little bit difficult to sort of get those concepts in your head when you're layering liquidity on top of each other. So we are building a visual and tactile liquidity manager to allow users to understand how these different structures affect their risk. And what this includes is sliders that you can play with, where you can change the value of a token between negative 100% and plus 100%. And then you can compare what the value of these different risk structures would be against holding the token by itself and holding the token in just a standard liquidity pool. And we've also got the graphs for the impermanence risk of all of these pool types graphed against a base pool, or an XKY pool they're called, so a base standard liquidity type. So that as you move that slider, you can also look on the chart. There's going to be the dot along both of those liquidity risk lines that you can actually compare them. So you can see, how does my risk value change along the curve? And then compare them directly just by sight, by saying, oh, look, that's the difference in the impermanence risk just by comparing where they are along that chart. So we've got a tactile slider that you can play with to actually look at how the numbers move, but we've also got a graph that's visualized to allow the users to see how that risk changes with all the different liquidity types.
So tell us about SafeSwaps.
SafeSwaps are an upcoming OTC contract that we have coming to the DEX. An OTC is an over-the-counter trade. So this is a trade that's designed to be between 2 parties conducting a private exchange. An example of this would be if you've met someone on Discord that you're going to swap an NFT with, and they want to make sure that you're swapping the NFT for the money, right? Instead of having to do you send first and I send second. You've always faced that problem, right? Or if you're doing a private sale as a launching token. This essentially allows you to select a wallet that you want to make a trade with, select what you're inputting to that side of the trade, what you want in return for that side of the trade, and then you're sending that out to the wallet that you've selected, who will then receive a notification the next time they log into our site to complete that said OTC, which they can accept or reject. And then once it's complete, the contract confirms that both sides have been met according to the specifications with which it's been set up. And once that's been confirmed, the smart contract swaps the assets. Now, V3 gives us a lot of powers here, right, to do some really fun stuff, because we're able to essentially open-end every part of this function. So the one that I really want to mention here, and what I mean by that, is how we're going to be doing large-scale distributions, or allowing for open large-scale distributions on Cardano. Because if we set an OTC swap but we make the buyer of the OTC swap, the person that's being sent to, a zero cost, i.e. they don't have to send anything in. Now a project could do a large-scale distribution and feasibly actually pay nothing for it, which is something that's never been able to be done on the Cardano blockchain before.
Awesome. Well, if people want to check out either the liquidity manager or they want to get involved in using these safe swaps, where should they go?
app.vifi.io. All these items are coming out in the near future. I'm hoping we'll be launching on mainnet very early in Q2. The only thing that I also want to add is that we're going to be going open source with this as well. So hopefully the technological advances that we've been able to design, we're also going to be able to offer to the community.
That's excellent. Yeah, the more people that win, the better, right? Well, so Stephen, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, and I'm really looking forward to seeing liquidity managers come out and also safe swaps.
Thanks so much for having me on, Matt. It's really been a pleasure. It's great to be able to come out and speak to the community about this stuff. And really, I just want to say thanks so much to all the work that's done at Input Output to ensure that this entire ecosystem even exists. It's all thanks to you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for all the work you do as well.
Christian, thanks so much for joining us today on the show. Can you give us an introduction to yourself and also to OrcFax?
Of course. My name is Christian. I am the product owner and systems analyst working on OrcFax. OrcFax is one of the only UTXO-based oracles operating on Cardano mainnet, and we've been working in the space for over 3 years with research and development. We've been on Cardano mainnet for just about 2 years.
So you guys think really hard about the design of oracles and how to do oracles well at OrcFax. I know that because I see it in your blog posts and in your posting. So what is it that makes OrcFax unique?
I'm glad you asked that because we picked Cardano specifically because we believe that it mirrored our values for research-based design. When we took on developing an Oracle solution, we spent a lot of time thinking about what are the primary sources that we're going to use to bring this data on chain. How can we bring this data on chain that's going to be the most flexible for the various use cases that our integrators are going to have? And so that's taken us the better part of a year and a half just to answer some of those questions and to bring our first version on mainnet.
So what can people do with what's on mainnet right now?
For the last 2 years, or approximately 2 years, we've offered our heartbeat publication model, which allows integrators to set a couple of parameters. They can decide what cadence they would like data brought on chain and what deviation. So essentially what that means is like I'm a dApp. I need ADA USD. I need it every hour. So that's the cadence. I need it published on the hour. And then the deviation is another parameter that allows the integrator to say, I want it every hour, but if it changes by a certain percent, 1%, 2%, or 5%, whatever the use case needs, then I also need it published then. Recently, we just had our soft launch of our on-demand API, which allows integrators to query an OrcFax API at any time, because we're always collecting the data. Even if an integrator comes and says, I only want this every hour, we're still, because of the deviation, we're querying our primary sources of information like every couple of minutes. And so we have all this information that we never use, right? So the on-demand API allows our integrators to leverage some of that more granular data. They can query it at any time. And in some use cases, I mean, it doesn't matter about on-chain congestion. They can see that off-chain data whenever they need it.
Yeah. So you guys have also had an incentivized testnet running for a while now. What has that taught you?
Oh man, so much. We launched the ITN in December of last year, and immediately we were optimistic that we would have maybe 20 validators engage early on. We were confident that we would sell all of our validator licenses, but we've had over 50 right out of the gate that have participated. And yeah, that instantly raises questions about scaling, about providing interfaces that can handle that kind of traffic, what to do with the data from 50 validators. So it's been a wonderful experience. Our first phase, which we're nearing the end of, has focused on offloading our collection function and specifically centralized exchange data. and we'll take a small break before going into the second phase to upgrade the system and incorporate some lessons learned. But our next phase is going to build upon the collection function by allowing our validators to query on-chain data and to do decentralized exchanges.
Nice. So I want to take a step back for a moment and ask a more basic question about oracles. How do oracles in general work? I know it's a very basic question, but what do they do and how do they do it?
Okay, so oracles are the data providers for Web3 businesses. And it's not so different a use case than what we take for granted in the Web2 space. There are a plethora of data providers for our businesses that operate our day-to-day. And oracles just provide the same service for businesses that are on-chain. What an oracle ought to do is to identify a number of primary sources of information for a specific feed type. So if we say ADA USD, identifying primary information sources for that data, aggregate it, apply a logic dependent on what the integrator needs, and then to bring that on chain. What OrcFax does, which is different and I think sets us apart, is that from point A to point B, from querying those various sources to aggregation, applying that logic, bringing it on chain, and then archiving it forever, all of that is stored in an archival package that users can access with or without OrcFax. Right now, we provide an explorer that makes that easy, but any user could access that information on chain. And that is something that in our research, and the research is ongoing, and Oracle services do change from day to day, but in our research, that is something that is truly unique for OrcFax, is this radical level of accessibility and verifiable data that users can access.
So you mentioned there what oracles should do. Is there a gap right now between what exists in the industry and where you think that oracles as a function should go?
Absolutely. And it's the gap has closed recently, but when we first came on the scene working on Cardano mainnet, one of our big criticisms was that there were a number of Oracle providers that seemed to leverage secondary sources of information. There are trading platforms that don't have their own order books, and so we don't consider them primary sources of information. So when you're building an Oracle feed that reports on a specific type of data, we think it's critical that there be some substantial amount of research into what are the appropriate sources of information for that feed.
So if people are interested either in collaborating with you or in using your services, where should they go?
We're active on both X and Discord. We have Telegram. We're all over the place. What we do when an integrator contacts us is that we create a private channel on our Discord so that they can have access to our team, to our developers, and that it's easy for us to work through their use case and outline like what a solution would look like from OrcFax.
All right. And if people just more generally want to stay in touch and follow your project, where should they go?
X primarily. We also have a Medium account that we publish to. We try to publish to it monthly, that we have OrcFax updates. Those are the two primary ways that they can stay up to date. If they're familiar with Discord or it's not a problem to add another channel to their Discord account, we do provide more granular updates within our Discord to our community specifically.
Excellent. Well, Christian, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
So thanks, Matthew, for that, and a shout out to Stephen and Christian for joining us. So be sure to follow Vi Finance and OrcFax on X. You can grab the links below. Well, that's nearly it for this month, but before we go, a few other things to bring to your attention. Now, last month we released the documentary celebrating the incredible work done by you, the community, at the Constitutional Convention in Buenos Aires and Nairobi. And while those outside this ecosystem may just see it as another event recap, it goes much beyond that. The film really represents a living record of a people united in a shared set of beliefs, principles, and a vision for our world, not just Cardano, which in today's world seems like a nearly impossible achievement. Now, you may have seen some of the clips we've been sharing across the socials, but as the conversations continue and the governance journey of Cardano evolves, I really encourage you to go back and watch the full documentary. Zoom out and hear what others in the community have to say and think about how you can show up for Cardano. And of course, don't forget to check out some of the recent blog content on the IO website, including more on the Seize and Freeze demo, which highlighted a key functionality of Cardano that illustrates its capability to meet specific regulatory requirements when called for and dealing with financial institutions. Phil from Anastasia Labs also shared his take on the functionality, so make sure you give his tweet a read too. Finally, Input Output is heading to the City of Lights. That's right, we're going to Paris Blockchain Week. Charles Hoskinson will give the keynote address on Wednesday, April the 9th, and later we'll be joined by Midnight CEO Iran Barak for a fireside chat on Midnight's development. And no, we didn't give Josh a heads up on that. It just worked out perfectly that he discussed some of that in his update. Now, we'll be sharing more content around our presence in Paris, so be sure to follow us on X and LinkedIn for more of that. And head over to our new newsroom, where you might find some content popping up ahead of time. And if you're looking for more content from across the ecosystem, we've dropped some links below where you can see the latest from some of the content creators putting Cardano on the map. So thanks for joining us for another episode, but don't forget to subscribe to the Essential Cardano newsletter so you can stay up to date on just some of the latest happenings within the ecosystem. That's it for now, but make sure you hit that bell icon, give us a subscribe so you can be one of the first to know when new content drops from IO. That's it for now. See you in April.